From Ascension Island, the squadron joined the task force. And its men started training with the helicopter squadron in order to support the Special Forces units. As the task force neared the Falklands, G Squadron transferred to the aircraft carrier HMS Hermes. From there, Sea King helicopters inserted 8 SAS and 2 SBS reconnaissance teams onto both the main Falkland Islands. For 3 days, they landed and began transmitting information about the Argentinian defenses. Just 1 month after the Argentine invasion, the campaign to retake the Falklands was about to begin. In the last 2 weeks of April, the British task force had encountered steadily worsening weather conditions as it got closer to the Falkland Islands. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of State, Alexander Haig, conducted an exhausting round of shuttle diplomacy between London and Buenos Aires in an attempt to prevent open conflict. But neither the Argentine people nor the military dictatorship would give in. In Buenos Aires, massive patriotic parades were held to celebrate the union of the Malvinas with the motherland. And in London, Haig found that the word compromise was not in Margaret Thatcher's vocabulary. As the British prepared for war, the United States was forced to make a choice between its closest ally in Europe and a major South American partner.
It's a very difficult situation for the United States because we're friends with both of the countries engaged in this dispute. And we stand ready to do anything we can to help them, and what we hope for and would like to help in doing is have a peaceful resolution of this with no forceful action or no bloodshed.
The Americans chose to back the British, providing vital satellite intelligence and some of the latest military hardware, including AIM-9L Sidewinder air-to-air missiles. The remarkable combination of the Sidewinder and the Sea Harrier would play a crucial role in British air combat over the Falkland Islands and affect the outcome of the war. The American Elite Special Forces Unit, Delta Force, provided its SAS counterpart with state-of-the-art communications equipment and Stinger anti-aircraft missiles never before used in combat. Meanwhile, the Argentines were heavily reinforcing their military presence on the islands. Their armed forces, however, had not fought a war for over 100 years, and many of their troops were unskilled conscripts with only weeks of training. In comparison, soldiers of the British Army had fought and died every single year for the last 100 years, except one. As full-time professionals, they displayed an unmatched level of training and commitment. Still, fighting 8,000 miles from home would put them at a grave disadvantage. By the beginning of May, the Argentines had 11,000 troops on the islands, plus 42 aircraft and helicopters. They were well equipped with powerful artillery and mortar weapons, numerous anti-aircraft guns and missiles, as well as modern communications and electronic warfare equipment. The SAS and SBS parties on the islands set up observation posts, or OPS, to survey the numbers and disposition of the Argentine troops. For up to a month, the reconnaissance forces remained silent and immobile in their ops overlooking the Argentine positions, through inclement weather, with no heat and little food. These teams transmitted information back to the task force that was crucial in determining where the amphibious landings should take place. Meanwhile, the first Royal Navy and Royal Air Force airstrikes against the airport at Stanley were already underway. On May 2nd, tensions heightened. The nuclear hunter-killer submarine HMS Conqueror detected the Argentine cruiser General Belgrano and her escorts just outside the British-imposed 200-mile total exclusion zone. Though the Argentines were just shy of violating the zone, the British War Cabinet decided their weapons were a potential threat to the task force. The General Belgrano was attacked with torpedoes and sunk. 321 men lost their lives. The war had begun. With the carriers of the task force now only 250 miles northeast of the Falklands, the Argentines soon exacted their revenge. On May 4th, a pair of French-built Super Étendard fighter bombers took off from mainland Argentina. They were armed with the French Aerospatiale Exocet sea-skimming missile. Flying below radar detection height, the aircraft approached the task force at high speed. At a distance of 30 miles, they appeared and engaged British military targets. As soon as one was identified, an Exocet missile fired. Flying at just 20 feet above the sea, and at 680 miles an hour, one Exocet locked onto the destroyer HMS Sheffield. "20 men died, and the shiny chef became a burning, useless hulk." The destroyer's loss was a great shock to the task force. If one of the aircraft carriers, HMS Invincible or HMS Hermes, was sunk or disabled, an amphibious landing would be impossible and the war lost. The air-launched Exocet was too great a threat to be ignored. The British government turned to the SAS for an answer. They called on Brigadier Peter de la Billière, Director of Special Forces. A desperate plan was hatched, codenamed Operation Mikado. It called for B Squadron SAS to fly from Ascension Island in 2 C-130 transport planes, land at the Rio Grande Air Base, where the Super Étendards were believed to be stationed, destroy the aircraft, and eliminate the pilots inside the officers' mess. The plan was met with skepticism by B Squadron, but when the squadron commander, Major John Moss, protested the plan's shortcomings, he was promptly replaced. Many members of B Squadron believed Operation Mikado would be a suicide mission, and they began writing their wills. Still, nearly all of them agreed to go. Under a new commander, B Squadron was flown to Ascension Island for intensive training to prepare for the assault. Fortunately, wiser counsel prevailed. The British government realized the political and military implications of a catastrophic SAS raid on the Argentine mainland, and Operation Mikado was canceled. However, the British already had some special forces teams operating covertly on the Argentine mainland. The Argentines soon became aware of the operations on May 20th, when the wreckage of a burning Royal Navy Sea King helicopter was found in neutral Chile. Chilean authorities quickly buried it, but its crew appeared at a press conference.
Whilst on sea patrol, we experienced an engine failure. Due to adverse weather, it was not possible to return to our ship in this condition. We therefore sought refuge in the nearest neutral country.
Officially, the explanation was accepted, but all indications were that the team had been engaged in a covert operation. The crewman on the left was one of the most experienced Special Forces helicopter pilots in the British task force. And the helicopter crashed midway between the 3 main air bases from which the Argentines had launched their attacks. A Royal Navy intelligence-gathering vessel was hiding among the many inlets and islands of Chilean neutral waters nearby. it remained undiscovered. The Exocet was still a major problem for the British. Margaret Thatcher finally persuaded President Mitterrand of France not to supply the